Hello, hello, Sarah of SEK Handmade here, and today I'm going to share with you how to make a crossed treble crochet. Let's go. All right, so these are our crossed treble crochets. It is such a fun stitch. You can see the treble crochets cross. They are not interlocking with each other like some crossed stitches, and I just think they really give just the most fun texture, and they're super simple to make. I do recommend, if you're going to make a project with these, I like to anchor each side with a treble crochet. That gives a nice straight edge to your project if you're working a flat piece. And that can be done in a couple ways. You can just make some chains. So that's what I'm going to start out doing here, is simply doing a chain 3. 1, 2, 3. I always do that before I turn my work. And the crossed treble crochets are worked over 2 stitches, I should have mentioned. So you're going to want to chain a multiple of 2. Keep in mind that if you do a stitch at each end, like I have done, you're going to be down 1 cross treble crochet in your number. So add a couple extra if you want to put a couple extra stitches if you want to put a single stitch at each end like I have here. So I've chained 3. I'm going to count this as my stitch. And so I'm going to skip over this first one because that treble crochet there counts as my first stitch. Then I'm going to skip a stitch and I'm going to work my first treble crochet here in the next stitch. We're going to skip a stitch, work in the next stitch, and then come back to that stitch. So to work my treble crochet, I'm going to yarn over twice. I'm going to skip the next stitch and insert my hook in the next one. I'm going to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's my treble crochet. Now I'm going to create a treble crochet in the stitch that we skipped. So I'm going to yarn over twice and then I'm going to reach through, and you can see when I do that, it folds that treble crochet over so nicely, and there is that stitch that I skipped. I'm going to insert my hook to the stitch that I skipped, yarn over, pull up a loop, and just complete my treble crochet as normal. And that is my first cross treble crochet. Now, if you notice it looks a little twisted, that is totally normal. They'll all even out once they're anchored a little more by the next stitch. So again, I'm going to skip the next stitch and insert my hook into the second stitch in my order here, yarn over twice, skip a stitch, insert my hook in that next one, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. There's my treble crochet. You can see right there the skipped stitch. We're going to go back to that one now. Yarn over twice for my treble crochet. Reach through to the front of my work. That other treble crochet folds down nicely. There is my stitch that I skipped. I'm going to insert front to back, yarn over, pull up a loop, and complete my treble crochet. And so now I have 2 crossed treble crochets, and you can see I've worked 5 of them, and we just continue in that manner. Yarn over twice, skip a stitch, insert in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 1 treble crochet. We're going to cross our second treble crochet by coming in front to back of the skipped stitch, pull up a loop, complete our treble crochet just like that. Now, I love working this with treble crochets because it gives you a really nice open fabric You can work with whatever yarn and hook size you prefer to play with this with. I'm working with a worsted yarn and an H hook, and you can see it's giving me just this really nice open fabric. But once you have practiced with your treble crochet stitches, I recommend giving it a try with a double crochet or a half double crochet and see what that looks like. The stitches will be a little shorter and it'll be a little harder to reach through for that crossed stitch, but still a lot of fun. And especially once you've mastered it with a nice tall treble crochet, you'll have all the practice under your belt to give those shorter stitches a try. I'm going to make one last treble crochet in my final stitch because, as I said before, I am bookending my crossed treble crochets with a stitch at each end. And you can work just a stack of crossed treble crochets. I've been working a row of half double crochets back across my row. But you can do however many stacks you want. I do want to remind you to be careful that this chain that we did over here counts as a stitch. And so you're going to want to work around or into that chain as well so that you don't lose a stitch as you're going. So I'm going to work a row of half double crochets back, and when we get to the end, I want to show you another little trick that you can do on this side other than just chaining that I think mimics the treble crochet a little better. I have now worked across all of my stitches and I'm to my chain. You can either work into that top chain or work around that chain. I find it a little finicky to work into the chain, so I'm going to work around it, but for uniformity, you might want to work into the chain if that's something that's important to you. All right, I want to show you a quick little trick, and I'm going to link to the full tutorial for this technique in the description below, so be sure to check that out. But I find if you look carefully, let's just look here. If you look carefully at this side of my work, you can see that these are a little fluffier. These are my treble crochets because I worked a row and then worked a row of half double crochets back. All of my starts of my crossed treble crochet rows are this side, and all of my ends, which ended with a treble crochet, are on this end. And you can see these are just a little thin and wimpy, and these are nice and full. I'm going to show you a quick trick on how to make both sides match a little better, and it is simply a modified chain. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull up a nice high loop because we're going to make this one a treble crochet, and you need lots of extra yarn to do this. All right, then you're going to turn. You're going to wrap around twice and then in through that first stitch. Again, I'm going to do I have a full tutorial on this, making this modified chain. That'll be linked below. So if you want to look at a more carefully detailed explanation of this. So I inserted my hook through that first stitch. I yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that's a modified treble crochet. And if you just compare this one to this one that I just made, you can see the difference in width. And then you just go on. Now I've already worked into that first stitch with my modified chain, and so I can then skip one and work into the next stitch with my treble crochet, yarn over twice, back to front on my skipped stitch there, yarn over, pull through. Now, I do recommend a little blocking for this stitch in particular. It'll help just line everything up really nicely and open up all of your stitches. So check your type of yarn that you're using and give it a little quick block according to the type of yarn you're using. And that is how you make a crossed treble crochet. I am obsessed with this stitch right now. It makes such a nice, fun, open texture and gives such great visual interest without the fussiness of some other stitches. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. As always, it is my goal to help you grow confidently in your craft. I hope the tips and tricks in this video have helped you to do that. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on any more tutorials that I share. Thank you so much for joining me today, and happy crafting!